So this debate is as old as ever. Circumcision. Should you, shouldn't you? When should you? When shouldn't you? Do you need to? Pediatric surgeon Dr. Carolyn Pinnock Jackson is with us, and she's going to tell us some more about it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Smile
Good
Jamaica.
morning,
It's
Doc.
morning
Thank
time.
you.
First thing I want you to clarify for me, Doc, is what is circumcision?
Circumcision is the partial or complete removal of the skin that covers the glands or the head of the penis. Now, it's important to clarify it because there's some people who believe that circumcision is turning back the foreskin. So they will say, my child is circumcised because I can turn it back. Being able to turn it back is a normal part of the development of the uncircumcised penis. The circumcised penis, there is no foreskin to turn back.
Okay.
I said at the start, I'm certain I didn't get it done till probably almost a teenager, I think. And some people don't do it because of religious reasons. Some people think it's not the right thing to do. Is it the right thing to do? Should everyone do it? Where do you go with that?
So the choice for circumcision that is not medically indicated is very, very personal. It's very, very heated. Even among families, even among mother and father, it can get very controversial. The truth of the matter is, from a medical or a scientific point of view, there are distinct benefits, there are distinct risks. As science has improved, the risks have become less and less and less because it's a surgical procedure. It's not just a little thing, it's a surgical procedure.
Well, let's go to the benefits
Right.
first. What's the benefits?
So the main benefits that we know of is that it reduces your risk of infection, a variety of infections. Boys who are circumcised as newborns have a much lower risk of developing a urinary tract infection as infants. Urinary tract infections are a big deal in the world of pediatrics because sometimes they're quiet. It can end up with, if you're not paying attention to it, you can end up with kidney damage. And the nephrologists and the people who deal with renal failure can tell you this is a big deal in our population. But there are other infections, like sexually transmitted diseases, that are less in people who are circumcised. So sometimes when I'm explaining that to parents, they'll say, but they figure if it's exposed, you should be more likely to get an infection. But I draw the analogy, and I hope he forgives me, that if Mutabaruka walks on a little gravel and I walk on a little gravel, he is less likely to be impacted by the gravel because his skin has changed to protect him. So the circumcised penis is less likely to contract all of the sexually transmitted infections, including HIV.
Yep. Before you get to the why you might not want to do it, if you decide to do it, is there a best time to do it? Should you do it?
Absolutely. The younger, the better. Ideally, if parents are thinking about circumcising their child, you want to do it when the child is newborn. The difference between doing it younger and older is significant. Doing it at 2 weeks is better than doing it at 2 years. Doing it at 2 years is better than doing it at 12.
Why? Why is
and
that so?
there's a variety of reasons. There is the emotional attachment to how my penis looks that kicks in at about age 7, although certainly some boys will have that a little before. And you don't want to interfere with how a boy feels about his penis. Right? But in terms of physiologically or how we develop, birth is an extremely traumatic experience. People tend to think that birth is traumatic for the mother, but it's very traumatic for the child.
It must be for the baby.
Your head is this big, the space is that big, and you got to get
And
through
you have
it.
strangers yelling at you.
When you come out of your nice, quiet, cushy environment, you have dry air going in your lungs, your shoulder can be disconnected. Birth is extremely traumatic. And the body prepares for birth in the last trimester. So a lot of changes start taking place. A lot of chemicals are available in your bloodstream to help you to cope with pain and to survive the birth process. And those chemicals all start to go down by the time you reach about 6 weeks, which is the end of the neonatal period. So if you have the circumcision in that period, you're taking advantage of the physiological benefits. Plus, with breastfed babies, they will have acquired the skin bacteria from their mom, from the breast milk, and so on. So the skin is as pure and healthy as it can be. The baby is as protected. But even with those physiological things, it is considered standard of care that you should have analgesia for babies who are going to have newborn circumcision.
So let's go the other side now. What would be the reasons I wouldn't want to do it or wouldn't want my son to be circumcised?
I think ultimately the decision usually ends up being cultural. So my brother did it, or my brother didn't do it. My father did it, or my father didn't do it, which is what the mother would say. And the father would say, well, I am or I'm not.
But there's no medical reason not to do it?
There is, the medical reasons is most affiliated with the risk of surgery. Any operation, usually the two most common risks you'll see are bleeding or infection. When you combine those two risks, in Jamaica, we actually did a study in the early 2000s looking at our local rates of complication, and we found the rate was about 2.4%, which is statistically is low. If it's your baby, then it's very high because it's 100% for you.
Yeah.
What is important is that with both of those complications, bleeding and infection, it does not affect the form. So long term, it will look like what it's supposed to look like. And it doesn't affect the function. You should function as you should. Although it does mean in that short-term period, you will have to see the surgeon's ugly face maybe one or two more times than you actually wanted to. But the risky, scary complications like losing the penis and so on, which there are certainly tales about that out there in the world, those things are more related to a more, I'm going to say, primitive style of surgery, and the technology of surgery has advanced significantly. I mean, that's not something that's really happening in modern times.
Doctor, you look like you smile a while when you say losing.
It is, there is a particular tale of, which is a very instructive. When I was studying, I read up as much as I could about this boy, a boy who did actually lose his penis because of poor surgical practice, and technique was used that had never been used before, and there was no good reason for it. It was experimenting on the part of the team, and it's really a very instructive tale for us in modern times to look back and know we do have a responsibility
to sit down.
to practice the
boy and his
best,
uncle.
the best possible techniques that we can afford.
But overall, there's no medical reason really that you shouldn't do it, overall.
Medically, it really boils down to weighing the risk and the benefits. You do have the small risk, you do have the benefits. The benefits are potential, like immunization. If you get it, it should prevent you from things. If you are circumcised, it will reduce the amount of... If you don't have a foreskin, you have foreskin problems. Little boys do all manner of things with their foreskin. They slam it in the drawer. They try and feed it rice grains. Little boys are very creative.
Never
very
heard that.
creative.
Never heard that
I
one.
cannot tell you the things I've seen in hospital, because boys are willing to experiment with what's going on. But it's a very personal decision when there's no
There's a little
medical
boy in here that
reason
says
behind it.
unzip.
Oh, yes. And I beg people, please, if you have a zip experience, dismantle the clothes, not the child. So cut out the zip rather than try and cut off the zip. I just beg people, when you're at home and you have this problem, please do not try and cut
Why would you
off
have that
the
problem? You know, we're brief.
I'm not going to comment on the popularity of briefs in our population.
Thanks for coming.
You're very welcome.
Pediatric surgeon Dr. Carolyn Pinnock Jackson. 10 minutes to your health. We'll do it again next Thursday.